that you have had your experience with the training, the workshop, which was fantastic. Great job there, Matt. Now we're going to get into the Q&A section. I see Matt Garrett is in there at Anika Turner. Thanks so much. So awesome. We had over 44 people watching live, which was just fantastic. Awesome. Really good showing. Before we get into the Q&A, Matt, any thoughts on this first experience here?
Yeah, this was great. Marwan, big thanks to you. People do not understand how much you're doing behind the scenes, gather together, grow together with all the tech, the video, the media support, and allowing us to get this information out of there. So, yes, a big thank you to you and the team, the conduit. I know Rob and Stephanie, and I believe it was Keyshawn that all
Yeah,
helped out in
Keyshawn.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Keyshawn. So there's a lot of folks behind the scene helping, so a big thank you there. And also, for those that watch the whole thing, thank you. Watching me drone on about policies and procedures is not the most exciting, and I think we had almost 40 people watch the whole thing, so that's fantastic. And we'll Marwan already talking about different ways. We want to do this more regularly of getting training out, of how we're operating, and we want to be more successful or more communicative about. Um, our programs so we can all be more successful in helping clients. And Marwan, you're definitely helping us with that. And we've talked about maybe ways we can kind of spice this up. So hopefully we'll figure out a way to make it a little less dry. But this is our first time, so I'm really excited, and just thank you everyone for that tuned in. And I hope this is helpful. It's so easy to access on YouTube, and I really like that about how accessible it is. Most people know how to work YouTube. It's not a special webinar that you have to get the link to get it, right? It's just there and lives in an environment, and on Facebook as well. So that's my initial thoughts. What about yours, Marwan? How do you think it went?
So, I thought it went well. We won't talk about how the sausage is made because making sausage is ugly. But yeah, I thought it went really well. And what we'll do is, as we ask the questions, I'm gonna just go ahead and post those in the chat so people have them over here. And what I like about the format that we did this in is you've got a nice, clean kind of workshop that doesn't it does it's not stopping for all the questions, and so people can watch that. I think it might be a really great idea to use this. Let's say people are in your waiting room, and folks like to have something to watch, and this can be on, and it's informing them. So there's so many different ways that we can use this information and get that information out. So really excited about that. I want to say thank you to yourself and KCR for trusting us with such a heavy lift, and this is what we're here for. And so we hope to continue to do more into the future. And then I'll say, because you have uh, so been waiting for it so patiently, is back.
I love it. I love it. The sound effects, yeah, for those little behind the scenes, Marwan's upgrading equipment so it can be even better and more professional, which is awesome. But we used to, when we were a few months ago, we had all these great sound effects and music. So we've been behind the scenes asking Marwan, where did the sound effects go? And the horn is my favorite one because he blasts the horn when there's good news. So
Mhm.
it's uh, it's kind of like when I'm in conversations now, and when someone says something really good, I just wait for, like, where's the horn? I just want a horn to blare. But anyways, I'm glad it's back.
Well, it is back. So let's jump right into the questions. The
Yeah.
first one is here. Will these PowerPoint slides be available after this?
Yeah, that question came up a few times in the chat, and a few people asking for that. So, yeah, I'll give you the kind of the overview. So, the networks that we use to advertise for this are the same networks that I'll use to distribute the slides out. So, we use the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition Network. And if for those that don't know, that's a network of all the agencies in Kitsap that are serving or working in the housing and homeless world, right? So even if that's not their primary mission, if they're in this world, if they're serving clients or helping, even if they're not serving directly, but they're indirectly serving, like with food prep or whatever it is, That's what this network is for. So that's how we advertise it. So I will send out the slides to that network. Uh, right now, Lisa Lechuga is the chair, and she does great work of sending that out. I also sent it through our other network in the eviction prevention world. There's a lot of overlap, but a little bit different. It's the KEPA, the Kitsap Eviction Prevention Assistance. So those are all the partners that are working at keeping folks housed from even entering the homeless world or becoming unhoused. And those are our buy and for partners. So that's Hope 360, Surviving Change, Foundation for Homeless Poverty Management, Mount Zion, Partnering for Youth Achievement. We have Kayak, and let's see, I'm missing one. Gather Together, Grow Together, of course.
Yeah, us.
Yeah. It's also, go ahead, Marwan.
I was just gonna say, if it's in the HTML document, then I can also put it in the description. So if people go back and watch it later on in the future, they can click the link and they'll have access to the PowerPoint right there.
Oh, great. That'll be awesome too. Yeah, let's figure that out. So what I'll do is a combination of everything. So I'm sending it through the Kitsap Housing Homeless Coalition. I'll send it through our KEPA partners, who also include, I'll throw out BHA, Housing Kitsap, and our legal partners, Northwest Justice, Kitsap Legal Services, and Dispute Resolution Center. So I'll send it out through all those channels. Then Marwan will also put it in the chat. As you saw in the video, there's a few corrections I still need to make. Just from updates. And then also, in case that all fails, I put my email in the chat, and then Marwan, you can put it up again here, but you can email me directly for slides as well.
Yep, I'll put that up there.
If you're somehow missed all those, you can email me directly.
So our second question is, can you send out an updated landlord list? Mine is from 2021.
Yeah, so that's a great question. That came from Charlie at KLS. Charlie's awesome. He's one of the lawyers that works at defending low-income clients or helping them with legal services. Not just everyone. There's a qualification process, of course, but big shout out to Charlie. He's doing really good work in that world. And yeah, so what he refers to as a landlord list is a list that HSC kind of updates. Ideally, we try to update it regularly. It ends up like we update it about 3-4 times a year, so every 3 months quarterly. And what we do is we try to just have the latest information about landlords in Kitsap and somewhat their availability. As you can tell, this stuff changes weekly, daily, sometimes hourly, so it's impossible to have a list that's updated. But this is a list that at least lets you know some of the places that you might want to check out. And we call that the landlord list. So anytime anyone comes in and is wanting help searching and we can't actively case manage them, or there's not a program slot, or they don't qualify, this is kind of the standard thing we give them to help. And it has a lot of, especially the digital one. There's an Excel sheet which has a lot of the subsidized housing, a lot of the tax credits, has a lot of the senior housing. So there is a lot of good information for low-income renters or people that want to start applying for subsidies or for subsidized housing. So really good information. Now, the subsidized housing, remember, there's not a lot of it. So a lot of these places, you have to go through their individual process, and they sometimes have years of wait lists. So just know that this list is not a magic solution. A lot of these places have long wait lists, and some of them there won't be available, but at least it's a start of a lot of the landlords that kind of work in the low income housing space, or for folks that need a subsidy for all types of reasons.
All right. Our next question, let me go ahead and pop that in the chat there. It's also scrolling on the bottom. That's Matt Garrett at MGARRETT@KCR.org for those that are listening and not watching. Our next question is, will the presentation be available after live? And I can answer that one. And the answer to that is absolutely yes. We hope that you will subscribe, like, and hit the notifications for the YouTube channel so you don't have to always wait to get a flyer or a pamphlet, so it's like, oh, I forgot about that. I knew there was this great show coming on in 2 weeks, and you'll get that reminder and it will pop on. So yes, it will be there, and we are currently organizing our YouTube page so that you can go straight to housing and get that information that you want for sure. All right. So the next question is coming here. I'm just scrolling through the chat here
Sure.
while it's a conversation. Matthew, can I get an updated list and slides as well? That's from another person here. Who should I email to get the updated landlord list and these slides?
Yeah. So if you're, if you're not on any of those distribution lists, then I will. You can email me directly, or also you can email Housing Solution Center. So you can go through our website at kcr.org, and you can find Housing Solution Center that way. And there's also, let's see here, I believe they have.
You want to type any of those in the chat too?
Yeah, let me type those in. I'm trying to find. I thought that they have a specific email too that they check, but it might just be the website one that I'm. ACR. Yeah, so let me type in, and I'll type where the on our website. Yeah, actually, Marwan, let's show everyone. So I know, like you always like to do. Can I share my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. See it there on the bottom with the square with the arrow up?
Yep. For folks, can you see my screen, Marwan?
Yep.
So for folks, if you're trying to get in contact and don't have a specific email, you can always go on kcr.org, which I'll put in the chat. Go to contact us. And then you can put your first name, last name, email, phone number. If you put a phone number, make sure the email address is working, because if we don't have that working email address, we won't be able to email back, because the way our system works is it automatically emails back whatever email is in there. So some folks have some difficulty there if they mistype. But who would you like to contact? So here is where you can select. So if you select Housing Solution Center, that will automatically get seen by Jasmine Castorena, the Housing Solution Center manager. So that's one spot. And then housing gets checked by myself and Brenda Johnson, the housing manager. So housing more for if you're already in a case managed program. If you have a general housing question, you're not connected, Housing Solution Center is where you want to go. And then you just hit submit, and those emails come right to us. And we do check those and respond promptly, usually within 48 hours, if not the day. And so our website, I'll put that in the chat, kcr.org. And I'll also put Jasmine's email as well.
Awesome.
And she's the manager of Housing Solution Center. She can also, her team actually maintains the landlord list. So she's always able to send that really, really quickly. And I'll put her email.
All right. And our last question from the live chat, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen, and then I will read that for everyone. Let's see here. Do residents in motels fall under the Landlord Tenant Law? And if so, when? Recently read about a hotel in Seattle area that would not rent to anyone longer than 29 days.
Oh, what a fantastic question. Does it say who wrote that?
That is from Jim Adrian. Shout out to Jim.
Jim Adrian, of course. Jim Adrian is a wonderful partner, a local landlord that works with a lot of clients, specifically with housing choice vouchers and some of our programs. So thank you, Jim. Fantastic question from a fantastic gentleman. So yes, the answer is that our understanding right now is that after a certain point of time, landlord tenant law does apply to hotels. However, that when is I think up for some legal debate right now, and how it actually applies is also interesting. So some landlords that we partner with actually have agreements in place, like for long-term stay guests. That's pretty cut and dry, is that those do fall under landlord tenant law, especially if they actually have a lease or an agreement, right? Now, the folks that start to drift into long term but don't have that agreement is kind of the gray area. And that is where I don't want to speculate, as I'm not a lawyer. And I think that's somewhat of an open question. And that might have to be a court case to resolve some of this. But what we are hearing is that a lot of hotels are being advised by their lawyers is to not accept residents beyond 29 days. So Jim, what you heard in Seattle is happening here in Kitsap. There's a lot of the hotel partners. There's some hotels that are even refusing to work with social services altogether. And because hotels have more leeway than landlords do, right? There's not fair housing laws that apply to hotels, is the hotels can discriminate based on income source. Whereas fair housing and also some of the new tenant protections that Washington State has done is landlords cannot discriminate based on source of income. So what landlords can't say is, oh, you're working with KCR or you're working with Bremerton Housing Authority or Housing Kitsap. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to work with you, right? I don't, that if you have those types of vouchers or those types of programs, we don't do that. That's illegal now, is that there is protections in place for income, as landlords cannot do that. But hotels do not fall under that. And so hotels can say right now is, I'm not going to work with you. And many are. There's actually a smaller number of folks, especially as we expand our services into hotels, that there are a significant number of hotels that have refused to work with us, which is a bummer. We're trying to work with them. We want to be good partners, right? We think it's a win-win where we're actually housing folks short term. We're helping the hotels, our local economy, and then we want it to be that mutually beneficial relationship. And I think, but some hotels, and understandably so, are nervous because they have their clients, right? That their usual clients that they want to serve, and are sometimes worried that if they work with us, that might affect their usual business. So I understand it. I hope we can show them it can be mutually beneficial, but that is the reality of some of the hotels right now. Now, the hotels that are working with us, to get back to Jim's question, is yes, a lot of them are limiting the stay to 29 days to ensure that the tenant or the client, the guest, does not switch over into a resident or essentially have the protections of the landlord tenant law. So I don't know if I don't think there's anywhere official, like in legislation or some type of court ruling that says the 29 days is that. Maybe so. It could be wrong, but I do know that a lot of the hotels are interpreting the law that way and are limiting the stays to 29 days for a lot of folks, unless they have some type of long-term stay agreement that they've have approved of. Good
All
question,
right.
Jim.
Yeah, that is a really good question. Unfortunate, but man, so much. So I got all the questions off of YouTube, which
Great.
is great. Um, I'll also give you the ability, Matt, if you so desire, if you want to type the answers in there. But I think folks can watch this. This is nice and short, nice, quick, like 20-minute recap and
Yeah.
Q&A section
Yeah.
that folks can watch. And like I said, this information lives here and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. I'll give you the final words. Anything that you want to say as we wrap up?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, with these PowerPoints, this is great. I love sharing this information. We talked about a lot of the different programs. One thing I don't think I hammered home enough is that, right now, most of those programs are not open, especially on the housing side, right? Because I talked a little bit about the hotels, but so I know, and service providers, we want you to have this knowledge, but what I want to discourage is saying, hey, KCR has this rapid rehousing program, right? Like, go check it out. Like, that's open. Because currently right now it's not open. We're just super strapped for case management time, and that's why we just don't have the staffing right now. We hope that will change. But so we want you all to interact with these programs and understand how they work. But the best thing from a service provider and even for a client, right, that might be listening to this right now, is that Housing Solution Center job is to know what's available at what time. And so we definitely don't want to make promises we can't keep. That's really why I'm saying this. So it's not to keep anyone in the dark. I mean, that's why we're publicly putting out these programs so you can understand and what you might be what you might qualify for. But from the service provider, from partners, talking with HSC to see what's available at any given time, that's the magic. That's the secret sauce to try to work together, because a lot of those programs, most at any given time, are full, right? There's just not enough resources or staff to serve the entire population. So I just want to have that one caveat: is Housing Solution Center's job is to know what's available at what time. And especially for service providers that get this information, we definitely want them, hey, connect with us or send the client down, right? We definitely don't want to make promises we can't keep. So I just caution on that. And same with clients is, when you hear about this, and we're glad, we want you to know about the programs, right? We want that information to get out there, but just know is that not every program is available, at once. I wish, and our goal is to get to a point where we actually have enough resources to serve our community, but we're just not there. And so that's the only kind of caveat that I'll kind of end with, is that program availability is super dependent. And it can vary. And I'm excited, hopefully, as we continue to try to move in a direction to resolve some of those issues, or at least have better access. We will announce that and right here on the Conduit, and we'll continue to kind of have this be a platform where we share a lot of that information of what we're doing and where we're going. In the conversation, I spoke a little bit about where we're going. So we do have some ideas, and that we're working kind of slowly of how do we address that. Kind of like what I talked about in the PowerPoint, is having outreach have an expanded role, but we're just not quite there yet. But we hope to have a little more kind of fluidity there. But that's kind of where we are. So that'll be kind of my last word. That was a long last word, but I felt like I should. I know my Housing Solution Center team, whenever they're always, so after this, they're like, did you caveat like not everything's available, right? Because they don't want a flood of people asking for stuff, and it's really frustrating to have to say no, right? It really, we love saying yes, right? So, but it's really hard that we have to say no so often. So anyways, that's kind of the last note that I'll say. And again, express how much gratitude I have for you, Marwan, and the whole G2 and Conduit team.
Well, we appreciate being part of the solution. That's how we see ourselves. And what I like about, this new progression is that programs do change, right? They close, they're filled, they're modified all the time, right? Or there's a new wrinkle, or maybe you can use this program and this program now because there
Mhm.
was this change. And so having that information out there, I was saying this the other day, where someone will access a resource and then share it with someone else, which is great. And then that other person comes in, it's like, well, it doesn't work the same for me. And it's like, well, the circumstances, your personal circumstances, it could be closed, it could have modified. So staying up to date with this information is so very important. Um, and I just love the spirit of, community agencies and individuals that make up organizations like yours that are willing to do different things. It's like, all right, I'm gonna make myself available to come on to a podcast, and I'll record something and jump on. And it's really a testament to the sea change that you can see. I mean, people have been doing good work in the county forever, but there's this next level that you're starting to see. So, we're in the cream, which is awesome. So I think definitely you deserve an applause. And we'll go ahead and give you the horn. And so with that, we want to thank you again. Please subscribe, like, and share www.youtube.com/C/the conduit. Of course, you can type my name, Marwan Cameron. There's only one, and you'll see the conduit show up. Because if you just type in the conduit, there's lots of conduits. It means a lot of different things. But we want to say thank you. And until next time, For Matt Garrett, I am Marwan Cameron.